Allow me to introduce you to the keepers of the Commonwealth. These men fought for Britain in conflicts across the globe, from the land of the Zulu warrior to the fields of Flanders. They represented Great Britain in many of her hours of need. Painted by a countess, their portraits were the central theme of a special exhibition held in 1939 as the clouds of war were gathering once again. When the war came, the paintings were stored away. For the next 75 years, 60 of which were spent lost in a garden shed, the keepers of the Commonwealth were forgotten. The rediscovery of these stunning portraits in a Suffolk village in 2014 has also unearthed an amazing story. In 1939, the artist who painted them was at the height of her powers. She was one of London's most charismatic and respected painters. Her name was Ingigerd Ahlefeld Lervig. Five years earlier, the Queen of England, on her 67th birthday, attended one of Countess Ingigerd's exhibitions to acquire a work by her. Lord Devine of Millbank was also a patron. After all, she had been personally instructed by Philip de Laszlo. During the 1930s, she had sold hundreds of paintings, many of which commanded prices close to the average annual wage. In 1939, the Countess appeared to have a brilliant future ahead of her. Then the Second World War began. Ingigerd Ahlefeld Lervig would never paint professionally again. The art world remembered her ability to capture the character of her subjects, even if knowledge of her other achievements was lost. You can clearly see that talent here. These men look back at us through the mist and the dust of 3 generations. They are unquestionably some of the best portraits of Chelsea pensioners painted in the last 100 years. But who were they? We can say for sure that they were Chelsea pensioners, that they were at the Royal Hospital in the late 1930s. We can see the medals that they wear, and thus we know where they fought. Other than that, we know nothing. The keepers were anonymous from the start. We know that because of an essay that accompanied the original exhibition catalogue and can still be consulted in the Victoria and Albert Museum National Art Library. At least 7 of the 16 military portraits seen here are of soldiers who fought in the First World War. An 8th has already been repatriated to the Royal Hospital. That painting was identified as General Sir Walter Pippin Braithwaite, GCB, the governor of the hospital between 1931 and 1938. Chief of Staff of General Hamilton during the ill-fated Gallipoli campaign, and later commander of the 62nd Division, fighting on the Western Front during that war. The big question is, can we identify the others? The oldest medal here is from the 1879 Zulu War. This soldier was fighting for his country almost 60 years before the Countess painted him. There was no photo ID in the 1930s. At any time during those years, there were above 500 pensioners in residence at the hospital. We have a wonderful film from early 1938 that includes footage of some of our soldiers meeting the War Minister Leslie Hoare-Belisha in the portico of the main court. Can you recognise any of the soldiers depicted here? The best hope we have is that members of the public can provide more information.